This podcast is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
Hey, Alyssa.
Hi, guys.
How you doing? The regional setup is all in front of us. I'm feeling nervous. Tell me why I shouldn't feel nervous.
Ooh, I'm feeling pretty good, honestly. You know, I like this draw. I don't think it's easy per se, but I do feel like Arkansas can take care of business. You play well. You play the way that this team is capable of playing. And I think you advance to a super. I think it could have been harder, right? And I think the NCAA maybe gave Arkansas a little bit of an olive branch for putting TCU in their regional a year ago.
Which of these teams scares you the most out of the other three? Is it Southeast? Is it Kent State? Is it La Tech?
Yeah, I think it's Louisiana Tech. You know, and I look back at the history of these two teams and when they've played, and even when Arkansas went down to Ruston and played them a few years ago. You know, we remember the Jalen Battles home run that ricocheted off of one of the dorm rooms outside of the stadium. But at the same time, those games were tough, and they always play really tough. So Louisiana's Tech Bulldogs too. So that one scares me, I think, the most.
Yeah, they got Ethan Bates. I don't want to see Ethan Bates pitch, because if he does, that means La Tech has a lead in either the 8th or the 9th inning. But I'm happy for his success. Right. He was a kid that I always thought was really talented and just kind of tough to crack through the Arkansas lineup. And, hey, he may be the probably be Caglione for the John Olerud 2A winner, but Bates, I don't think he'd be that far behind him, honestly.
Yeah, you know, and that's something, too, that we know in college baseball, that a lot of talented guys come here and then leave for a reason or another, not because of anything personal, but want to go get some playing time. And it's good to see these guys. I mean, you think about Colin Poche, who was here at Arkansas for a while and transferred out and has made a really successful career for himself. And he's just an example of guys who needed to go somewhere else, maybe get a little bit more playing time and develop.
Alyssa, I like Molina, how he's been coming out later instead of starting. I don't know, just you're saying, hey, man, come out there and get me 5 outs, come out there and get me 7 outs. But Phil and I were talking about, you know, if you're not going to pitch Hagen Smith in the first game, who do you trust the most? Do you trust Molina enough to say, hey, all right, well, we're going to start him knowing that he's probably only going to go 4 innings?
Yeah, you know, that's a really tough thing to think about, and I think you're right, because I think Mason Molina coming out of the bullpen is a little bit more relaxed. It's a lot less pressure, and he's had success there, which you want to keep going. But, you know, he's been a starter before, and so you can put him back in that starting role, hopefully that he's just feeling himself more. But I wouldn't also be mad about starting Gage Wood in that first game either, and I've thought kind of back and forth on this. If you can get some really good innings out of Gage, then you can save Mason for Game 3, that could set you up for some success. And you also have a Will McIntyre who, again, I understand down this stretch has struggled a little bit, but he is a guy that we have seen shine in these postseason lights, and maybe he's a guy that kind of starts to come back around and can pitch for you too. So I like to see Gage Wood get the start on Friday, to be honest. I keep coming back to that every time I've thought about it.
So reasons why I think some fans are nervous about this weekend, and maybe that's the reason I am too, is right now I don't really know what it is that Arkansas excels at. It had been starting pitching. Right now it's Hagen Smith as a starting pitcher, but you got to win 3 games at the very least over the weekend, and here we are wondering who are the other 2 starting pitchers, where are they going to line up? You know, there have been other teams to be like, you know what, it's going to be really difficult for opponents to keep this lineup down. This is not that year. They look disinterested in Hoover at times in terms of running the bases and the fundamentals and playing in the field. These were all things that they did very well in the regular season, and I got to hope that they can just get back to those habits, the little things they were good at. But right now, I'm just wondering, what is it that we can hold on to as to what they'll do really well outside of just trusting that Hagen Smith is going to pitch well the one game that he does pitch?
Yeah, no, that you make really good points. And even offensively, kind of figuring out what exactly they're doing right there. And before Hoover, you could be like, well, their defense is really solid, and they made really uncharacteristic errors on their defensive side. as well. I think for me, I just don't want to put too much stock in the SEC tournament and what happened or what didn't happen in Hoover, because this team has always proved me wrong whenever I put too much stock in the SEC tournament, even when they win it in 2021 and everyone is like, yeah, we're on cruise control. This is going to be great. We win the league. We won the SEC tournament. And then we all saw what happened during the super regionals against NC State. So it's almost like just not putting too much stock or emphasis on what happened in that little bubble of the SEC tournament and just going back to trusting baseball works itself out. That's kind of where I am right now mentally as I look at this team. And so maybe that can bring some people some comfort of just forget about that and just think about what this team is and its core and see what happens.
Hey, Alyssa, what would we say? What would you say if you're Coach Van Horn to Diggs to get him going right? I don't know if it's something like what the Clippers did with Russell Westbrook, where you say, "Hey, Russ, you're going to run the second unit. Hey, Diggs, we're going to need you at the 7 hole, and we're going to." And I don't know where you put him in that lineup, but it's no question we're going to need him to hit better if this team wants a chance to win.
Yeah, I asked Coach that question a few weeks ago. Are you having conversations with Kendall? Like, what does that look like? And he goes, yeah, we're talking to him. But at the same time, I can't over-talk to him where he's in his head a little bit. I don't hate that they let off with him in Hoover. And maybe that's where you put him and just say, you know what, we know that you have it in you. You're going to be fine. I'm going to put you in the leadoff hole and see what happens. I don't think that that's bad. I think that you can almost overstress things too much and you get too in your head and you make things worse. And so sometimes that, not hands off, but, that quiet confidence where maybe you don't even need to have a conversation at all might be more beneficial than trying to have too many conversations.
Why is Florida in the field? Why are they comfortably in the field? Florida State fan, go for it.
Are you the College of Charleston's head coach?
No. I mean,
I'm just kidding.
Look. I mean, I understand what Holbrook is getting at in some cases. You're held to a different standard in terms of your win and loss record. When you're a mid-major team, you're expected to win your conference championship. Mm-hmm. They don't care if you win your conference championship if you're P4. They just don't. Maybe the Big Ten, maybe that matters more. But what I'm seeing is Florida is basically rewarded for being in Florida and for scheduling the Division I teams and being in the SEC East, and that's it. Look, so they scheduled all these tough teams. They went 22-40. 22-40 against teams out of the, well, no, I'm looking at the wrong number. They went 15-24, all right, against quads 1 and 2. I don't care that you schedule the games. You got to win those games too. Yeah,
it was really nice to see the Seminoles sweep them this year. And if anyone doesn't know how that series works, they play one in Gainesville, one in Jacksonville, and one in Tallahassee. So you can't even be like, well, it was in, it was home or away games or home games or whatever. I think it has everything to do with the name on the front of that jersey and getting, a little bit of a preferential treatment because, you're Florida and you won a national championship recently. And, Jack Caglione, quite frankly, is a much more fun storyline to talk about. And you got to get viewership, and people are going to watch the Gators play. And so I don't care what anyone says, there's politics involved. I think we all know there's politics involved. Don't get me on my college football playoff soapbox, but it is what it is. And the committee made their decision, and it was unfortunate because I was really hoping that the Gators would not make the tournament so I can kind of, give Courtney Mims a hard time, but no go.
Hey, Alyssa, have you been keeping up with these NBA playoffs? I know Daniel Gafford doing his thing with Dallas, and it looks like it's going to be a Dallas-Boston matchup, which I think is going to be awesome. A lot of star power. What are your thoughts on these NBA playoffs?
Matt, you know why I keep up with the NBA playoffs? It's because I know you're going to ask me about it. So now I'm paying attention. So now I'm very much paying attention. But yeah, you're right. And I think it's been really fun to watch Daniel Gafford blossom into the player that he's become since he's gone to Dallas. And, it's a situation where, the Wizards just maybe weren't utilizing him that well. And then he comes to the Mavericks and is really finding his way, which is great to see. And I don't think Jordan Walsh plays but he's on the roster with the Celtics. So we'll have two former Razorbacks in the NBA playoff finals, and that'll be exciting. And, I like Mark Cuban, so I guess I'm kind of a Mavs fan at the moment. And it's been really fun to watch. So
I saw Walsh get in. I think it was the second round. They were either up 19 or down 19 in the game, and what a cool ride. I'm always pulling for Arkansas guys and Razorbacks, and to have Gafford, if they are able to get in, and then having Walsh that has the Arkansas ties, I mean that's just pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. Well, and it's for people like me who don't follow it on a day-by-day basis to have someone to root for in these moments. So I appreciate that. And we could have had it regardless, because you have Corliss Williamson, who's an assistant.
That's right.
With the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Alyssa, what do you think? What do you think the situation here with Trevin Brazile is about? Chuck had brought this up, and I think this is a salient point. So he's taken his name out of the NBA draft. He's still in the transfer portal. Yeah. Here it is, all this conversation that we've even started here, and I see other fans having about, maybe Trevin's going to come back to Arkansas, and maybe there is the option for him in his mind. But is that option available? You think that option is available to him as far as Cal and the coaching staff is concerned?
Yeah, you don't really know. I mean, at this point, with the roster, do you bring him back just because you've got a scholarship there to bring him back? Or have you already moved on with the guys that you've brought in and continue to recruit? Man, it's just been one of those situations with Trevin where he's a really good kid, and when you sit down and you talk to him, you enjoy that conversation and you root for him to do well and to have some success. And it's been a really tough road. And sometimes when those roads get tough, you have people telling you one thing and people telling you something else. And now you find yourself right now where you've taken yourself out of the NBA draft, because I think his stock again got worse as the year progressed in the NBA draft. And now you don't really have a home because you're back in the transfer portal, and you hate it for him. So maybe he does, but part of me only feels like he comes back because that might be one of the only options he has left, which you hate. So, I mean, I hope this story has a happy ending, but it doesn't. It hasn't really written itself very well for him, which is unfortunate.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.